want to talk about why the best opportunities for change in a process or in a project are going to happen on the early side. So if we can see things happen just as something's starting or about to start, we're going to be much better off than as we sort of make or identify the need for change later on in the process. So let's use a bit of an example to illustrate this. Say we're looking at sort of like an Indiana Jones type film, and we come across quicksand, and it's there in front of us. If we step into it, it's going to pull us down. So we could decide to turn around. We could get excited and jump over with a motorcycle, or we could walk around it. Those are all options available to us. We have a couple to choose from. We have the benefit of time, and we can take some very energy efficient actions like walking around. But meanwhile, on the tail side, if we happen to find ourselves in the pit of sand, then we're in a lot more trouble. Just want to get out, so we have fewer options. And doing so, we're fighting against the sand, which is pulling us in, so we have to spend a lot more energy to get out. So what does this look like in a bit of a real world example? So if we start identifying early the need for change, we have more options available to us. Like I said here, we have a couple different ways we could handle this problem. On the other side, the longer we wait, potentially the more costly changes are going to become, because we have to deal with both sunk costs as well as change costs. We've already started a bunch of stuff that we need to now maybe change direction on if we want to get the results we want. On the other side, our effectiveness is going to drop down as well. When we start early on identifying the need for change, we can take a look at what are all the different options that help us still meet our goals while working around some sort of obstacle. But as you appear near the end of the process, those options go away. And you might say, well, there's a lot of things we could do with the benefit of time, but if we want to meet this deadline, the only thing we could do, in a worst case scenario, hire more people. Very costly, doesn't really work that well. On the worst side too, you also see issues where maybe to meet deadlines, you're going to put in just some temporary changes. And that'll go like, well, we have to make these quick hacks to get this thing out the door, which then we'll later have to come back and revisit to remove and sort of solve in a bit more permanent manner. So what does this look like again in some sort of typical project management? Well, here on the left side, leading indicators are what we want to be using. And on the right is where all the lagging indicators. So these are going to be the ones like task completion time, are we meeting deadlines? Are we meeting due dates for tasks? Lead times? Are tasks getting faster or are things getting slower? Those are all happening after the fact, and we're looking back in the past. The leading indicators, on the other hand, is going to be task start time. Will this piece of work start on the time we think we need to start it? If it's not going to start on the right time, we have more options available to us, such as reassigning people or deprioritizing some other work and removing items from the backlog. On top of task start time, we could also take a look at definitions already, as well as maybe WIP. So are we starting more WIP? Or then compared to completing WIP? Because if we see this item on the rise, then that's a leading indicator that later on we're going to be dealing with more issues. All right, thank you very much.